I'm trying to understand that. Do you feel like you did something wrong here?
I did what I felt I had to. I honest to God thought she was going to kill me. I mean, that's all I felt. I just felt that terror. I mean, it was sheer terror.
A.J. Owens in front of the suspect's apartment with a gunshot wound.
We're going to go to the jail. There's no changing this. There's no stopping it.
I don't care, kill me.
This is 58-year-old Susan Lawrence, a deeply disturbed, racist Karen who's about to get punished for a homicide that is responsible for robbing the future of innocent little children. 35-year-old Ajike Chantrell Owens was a single mother of 4, living a peaceful life in Ocala, Florida, and made a living working as a restaurant manager. She was loved by family and friends, as most considered her a selfless and loyal person. Although she was a single mom, the family's future seemed bright as every aspect of their life was perfect. However, this ideal life would come crashing down on June 2, 2023, when a cold-blooded killer would end up being protected by the law. What exactly happened that drove a family to such a tragic fate? Or, more accurately, who is the one responsible for it? The answer would be 58-year-old Susan Lawrence, a neighborhood Karen who lived alongside Ajike in a rental complex. Susan Lawrence was a well-known bully, harassing any tenant who came close to her property. She was often heard yelling and screaming and was disliked by most. But one of her biggest victims was the 4 children of Ajike Owens, aged between 4 and 12, whom Susan would fight with for allegedly playing in her yard.
Over there harassing her, doing anything, they're playing. Literally, every time the police are over here because of this lady. She'll be inside, they can be...
This dispute over a shared area for tenants continued to escalate for 2.5 years. During this time, Ajike's children and Susan would get into several confrontations. However, with each argument, the relationship between the two families deteriorated rapidly, and Susan's antagonizing acts worsened daily. By December 2022, one such incident would show the kind of evil person Susan was.
I had my truck parked in front here, so I didn't have to listen to the screaming and yelling. As soon as I moved the truck, the kids are coming up. I'm like, guys, stop. They know they're not supposed to be over here. They've been told many times. They've previously stole the trespassing sign. And the little kid tells me to shut up to my face. I said, don't be disrespectful to me. And he's exchanging words back and forth. I'm like, listen, my name is Dr. Williams. Don't tell me to shut up. And he was calling me names. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. I said, go wherever you live. All of a sudden, I hear knock. His mother comes over here. If you treat my son like that again, I'm going to rip your ass out and go beat you up. Excuse me? I don't bloody well think so. And I said, see that no trespassing sign? Get off my porch. And no, I'm not going to. I said, no, I'm calling the sheriff's department. And I don't know who the hell she was, but...
According to this alibi, Ajike's children had once again trespassed on her yard, causing Susan to kick them out. This angered Ajike, who picked up Susan's no trespassing sign out of the ground and threw it in her general direction without intent to hit her. In reality, though, this was nothing more than a grown woman bullying children, as Susan had purposely left out details to trick cops into arresting kids under the age of 12 for trespassing. The yard from which this dispute stemmed was in no way Susan's. Susan only rented out the building and had no rights over this grass field. Even the landlord was forced to step in an attempt to end these conflicts.
And you said you've talked to the property manager about being in that spot?
Ooh, right.
Yeah, we talked to that guy right there.
That guy?
Yeah, the guy
I asked him today, and he said, yeah, we can.
Yeah, he's always said that. He'll even come outside and play football with the kids or play games with the kids, and he says it's fine.
Yesterday, there were some cops over there, and they're like, they were coming this way.
But Susan found this unacceptable. The field was either hers or no one else's, and she had already made preparations to act if things went south. Prior to this interaction, Susan had begun fearing for her life. She purchased a Remington RM380 as, allegedly, the children were threatening to kill her, and soon enough, she'd get her chance to use it. On June 2, 2023, 2 of Ajike's children, aged 10 and 12, were once again playing in the same grass field. At 8:54 p.m., a 911 dispatcher received a call from Susan reporting this trespassing. Deputies from the Marion County Sheriff's Office were now mobilized, and the call lasted 5 minutes, ending at 8:59 p.m. Either before or during this call, Susan threw a set of rollerblades at the children, which hit one of them on the toe, all the while calling them racial slurs. When the kids notified Ajike about this, she immediately ran over to Susan's house and began banging on her door, presumably seconds after the initial 911 call ended. Amidst the yelling and banging is when Susan retrieved her RM380 from a trash bin in the corner of her house aimed the gun at the door just high enough to make sure it would miss any vital spots, and at 9:01 p.m., a single gunshot echoed throughout the neighborhood. Approximately 9:08 p.m., deputies arrived at the scene and discovered the victim with a gun wound on her chest. Only 30 minutes later, at 9:34 p.m., Ajike was pronounced dead, and Susan was placed into custody.
Okay, I understand.
Come over here.
Oh, wait, please close the door. I have 2 cats inside.
Hold
I
on.
don't want the cats to run out.
While Susan was arrested, one major issue remained. She could get away scot-free with everything because of Florida's Stand Your Ground law. Florida's Stand Your Ground law states that a person is justified in using or threatening to use force, except deadly force, against another when and to the extent that the person reasonably believes that such conduct is necessary to defend himself or herself, or another against the other's imminent use of unlawful force. Susan was a master manipulator and knew about this law all too well. Now, it was up to the detectives to make her reveal her true intentions and prevent her from hiding behind a law meant for self-defense, not for murder.
So nothing that happened that night that you didn't remember at the time, or you just, like I said, there was a lot going on that you maybe didn't think to say.
I don't know what to tell you because I thought I told you everything.
Okay, all right. So some of the things, like I said, we were just trying to clarify because we were in the room together for a while talking, and we went over a lot of different things. So one of the things I wanted to clarify with you is, and try to understand better, is when Ajike was at the door, when she approached the door, when was it that you realized that it was her coming to the door?
Because I said, who's there?
Okay, how did you know someone was there initially? Was it because...
It was a huge banging.
Okay.
They were just pounding at that door.
Okay. So initially, there was no words, it was just the pounding?
Yeah.
That's what started
Yes.
the interaction there?
Yes.
And where was the pounding at initially, where it first began?
The front door.
At the front door?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did she was it just like
It was,
like one, or
no,
was
no,
it
no,
several?
it was just bang, bang, bang,
Okay.
bang.
All right, and then you said
Who's
you asked
there?
her who's
Yeah.
there? Okay. And what was said then?
I think she said, why do you speak to my children this way? And I said, listen, I'm not going to speak to you. Go away. You know, if she had a problem, she should have called you guys. You know,
Okay.
honestly. I mean, if she really thought there was something seriously wrong, I don't understand why she just came over and just started pounding on my door and, you know, screaming and yelling. So.
And then what happened after you said to go away?
Go away, and then it got quiet for a bit, and then she started really banging, you know, just pounding on that door. She was relentless.
How long is a bit, would you say?
I don't know,
Like
because
5, 10 seconds or 2 minutes? Or?
it was an extended period of time, probably 20 to 30 seconds,
Okay.
easily.
But during that time, you didn't hear anything else? Did you think that she went away?
No, well, I obviously knew she didn't go away because she was screaming while she was pounding.
Describe that. When you say screaming, describe what does that mean?
She was just, you're not supposed to speak to my children this way. Why did you, you know? And then she was saying, I'm going to kill you.
This is in fact a lie.
But all I heard was knocking and then a gunshot. That's it. No fighting, none of that.
But you didn't actually see anything?
No, sir.
No? Okay.
From this testimony and several others that were not recorded, it was crystal clear Ajike had made no death threats and said nothing which implied that she would kill Susan. This pattern of half-truths is something we'd see throughout this entire interrogation. In reality, they are all a part of Susan's sickening plan to save herself. However, we'd only find out what exactly that plan is as detectives continue to speak to her.
And I'm like, holy shit, you know, and that's when
Well, you said there was like the initial barrage of the pounding, and you said, who's there? And she said, you know, what you said about not talking to her children that way.
Yeah.
And then you said it got quiet. So there was no banging, there was no words being
No,
said.
because I thought she went away.
That's what I was asking, basically. I'm sorry if I...
No, it's okay. I thought, all right, you know, she's just going to do whatever she wants to do.
And you said that was like 20 to 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And then did she start yelling again first, or was there more banging?
It was banging, it was yelling. I thought she was just going to break down the door.
Okay.
So, I mean, my heart was pounding, and I was like, she's really going to kill me.
Okay,
And that's
so
all I felt.
when she first came up and where were you when she started the beating?
I was
the
in the
very first
bathroom.
time? You were in the bathroom
Yeah.
when she started beating?
Yeah.
And did you come to the door?
Well, I was approaching the door, and then she started screaming, and I knew who it was. And I
Okay.
said, that's it, I'm not opening this door.
Okay.
And because I figured if she came in, she would just absolutely, you know, pound me into the ground.
All right, and then when it became silent, after that first round of a beating on your door, where were you at then? Did you go?
I think I went to wash my hands, honestly.
Okay.
You know, because I didn't know who was at the door, and I wanted to know, and then I was like,
Okay.
you know, so I went back and washed my hands.
Okay. So that's during the time where it was kind of quiet, and
Yes.
you thought that maybe she went away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when the banging and the yelling started again, where were you at then?
I think I was in the kitchen.
Okay. All right. And then what happened?
And then she just kept banging and yelling. I'm like, you need to leave. You're trespassing. Get off my porch. You know, get out of here. You know, I'm not talking to you. Leave.
Okay. Who else was outside the door besides
I have
Adrika?
no idea.
You don't know?
I have no idea.
Where were the other kids? Because I know the kids had been over there prior to her coming over.
Yeah,
or?
they were right by the, you know, where the fence is, and then there's a sidewalk. They were right beyond that sidewalk, inside where it's supposed to be no trespassing.
Okay, so they were outside of the fence while she was banging on the door?
I have no idea.
Oh, you're not
No,
sure?
I have no idea.
Okay.
You asked me when the kids were there earlier.
Right.
So, and the kids finally, you know, I went inside. I figured they left.
So you didn't know who else was out there
No,
at that
no
time?
idea.
Okay. So you went to the kitchen and she was still pounding on the door
Pounding on
and
the door.
yelling. And I know we've kind of gone over this a lot, but I want to make sure, now we're getting more like in order of things, because the first time we talked, it was kind of just like, it all came out all at once. And now that you've had a little bit of time to kind of think about things that happened again and try to get it in a good order that things happen, because it's very important to be able to say, okay, this happened first, this is what happened next, so that we don't get them confused or anything.
Okay.
So after that initial silence where, well, I wouldn't say silence, but it got quiet, you were washing your hands in the bathroom, and then the pounding and the yelling started again, and you went to the kitchen. What were you doing in the kitchen? Just,
I was looking for my phone.
okay.
So I put my phone down somewhere and I started panicking and I started searching for the phone. And then she just kept banging and banging and banging. I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, you know, get out of here. You know, and I'm like, I have nowhere to go. I mean, I was in the kitchen, there's the sliders, and the sliders are always locked. And just that one door, so there's no escape.
Okay.
I couldn't leave, I couldn't get out of there. I was like, Jesus Christ. And she was pounding so hard. And she was just banging and banging, screaming at me, telling me, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. I'm like, she's really going to kill me this time. That's all I kept thinking. She's literally going to come in this house and kill me.
Okay. When did you find your phone? At what point?
After I shot her. I just started searching the house frantically until I found it, and I wanted to make sure that I called and said, you know, I shot, because I heard her go, ugh. You know,
Where was your phone?
I think it was in my computer room.
In the computer room? Okay.
So, let me just understand this a little better, because I'm not really sure. So, the woman that got shot, what is her name?
AJ.
AJ, right, it's AJ.
Yeah,
Okay, and how long have you known her?
I really didn't know her. I just, you know, she was a neighbor across the street.
Okay, so how long has she been a neighbor across the street from you? Help me understand that.
A year and a half, 2 years.
Okay, year and a half and 2 years. And in that year and a half and 2 years, how many times have you guys been able to talk?
We've never talked. It's more like screaming.
No, okay, all right. So maybe better would be communicate. How many times have you guys been able to communicate in that year and a half or 2 years?
2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times. And in those 2 or 3 times over a year and a half and 2 years, what were you guys screaming about? What were you guys communicating about?
She would take her dog and walk it on my sidewalk to make sure it's shit on the sidewalk. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, of all the places you can walk and take your animal, you're going to come here. And
Sure.
She said, it's the only place my dog will go to the bathroom.
Okay.
I'm
So,
like, no, I don't think so.
okay.
No.
So you guys would have a disagreement regarding that, some screaming regarding the dog pooping where it shouldn't. What else would you guys communicate about in that 2 or 3 times?
Then one time she was talking to the neighbors and she said, oh, that bitch over there is crazy. And I went, no, I'm not going to, you know, sorry. I walked over, I said, what is your problem? And she just went on a tirade. I have never heard someone scream like this woman. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, she exploded. And I'm like, oh shit.
How long ago was that?
2 months ago.
2 months?
2 or 3 months ago. And then she was saying I called her kids all kinds of names, and I'm like, no, I didn't. And the more I said no, the more irate she got. Finally, I'm like, you know what? Let me just back off, say yes, I'll apologize, and scurry away.
What kind of things was she saying that you called her kids?
I called them racial slurs, and that's never happened.
The incident that Susan is referring to happened on April 17th, 2 months prior to the shooting, where Marion deputies were called because Ajike's children were playing in a parking lot.
They need to be trespassed the hell out of here.
So what I'm looking at, and where they're at, you can't trespass anybody from that location. The issue is that
He's trespassing.
he came over to come ask us a question.
Regardless of what Susan says, the man is not trespassing and can approach him.
Because we were all playing here. You know, the kids, everything jumped. All right, let's go. And she's like, hey, you know what? One day you guys are gonna die. And I'm like, and that's when I like, whoa.
I'm getting too much feedback on the phone from the dog. Can you at least go someplace where he's not barking? Please, I'm getting too much feedback. I can't hear myself. Dog, nothing.
It's a dog. You can't stop the dog from barking.
Yeah, but too much feedback. Can you please at least go someplace where I'm not getting too much feedback?
Yeah, that's, I mean, that's,
All right, well, you have a good one. Apparently we can't stand here and have a conversation.
This conversation would provide invaluable insight into Susan's narcissistic tendencies, where she manipulates information after becoming hyper-aggressive in an attempt to make her seem innocent.
We spoke to everyone in the neighborhood separately. Was there other times when you got frustrated or something with these kids and you said something else that we're not talking about? I mean, have you said other words to them or something about middle fingers or something? Tell me about that.
It wasn't at the kids. It was at the gentleman.
Who's the gentleman?
I only know him by his name, Sapito.
So okay.
So he's a guy. He gets all the kids together, so they're screaming and yelling, and they're doing all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, stop already. And I asked him. I said, please stop. I don't like the yelling. I just, I'm sorry, going to break down.
No, take your time. What is the crazy stuff that Sapito has these kids doing? Tell me about that.
He used to ride a four-wheeler.
Uh-huh.
And he would come around the house. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Then he'd have the kids on the back, no helmets, no nothing. And I'm like, stop already. The one time I went out there, he almost hit me.
Uh-huh.
He's like, missed you. Jesus Christ, really? And I'm like, I just can't deal with it. I have an injury right now. I have aneurysm on my left kidney artery.
Mm-hmm.
If he hit me, he'd have killed me.
So, was it on last Friday that you were kind of giving him the middle finger then? Is that what I was understanding?
I may have given him the middle finger because they're just out there and I took a picture and he's like, oh, go take more pictures. I'm like, because...
What other kind of crazy things is he having these kids do? Is it something where he's...
He would have them exercise and scream and yell, and the kids are like, we're tired, stop, we're tired.
Is he like a coach, or do they play sports
I don't
or
know.
something?
I have no idea. And he's like, come on, you weenies, get moving. And the kids are like, no, we want to stop. He's like, you can't stop.
Is he the father of one of those kids that live?
I have no idea.
You're not sure?
I don't know who he is. I just know that. And I asked him, I said, please. I said, one of my friends was murdered when I was very young. And she screamed. She was bound and gagged, and the guy thought he killed her, and she screamed. And so every time those little kids scream, I keep thinking of my friend Elizabeth.
Tell me about that. Whoa.
So, and I asked him, I said, Sapito, please, these kids screaming like this, it's triggering me. I don't want to hear this, And he's like, you're full of shit, you're a liar, you're this, you're that. I'm like, really?
Have you ever been a victim of anything like robbery or anything like that before?
In Jersey, yes.
Okay. Were you robbed at a store, a gas station, or describe that to me?
We were selling tools out of the back of my car for some company, and we stopped at a stop sign. It was myself and two other girls who were doing it with me, and they entered the car and just took everything.
Who's they? Who did that to you?
I can't remember. It was a bunch of guys.
Okay.
That were in the neighborhood.
Did you able to get them reported, and they were able to...
We reported it, but they never found them.
Okay. Did those guys ever harass you ever again or anything like that?
No, because it wasn't where I lived.
Okay. Have you ever been a victim of violence at your home that wasn't someone you knew, a random person coming and hurting you or something like that?
No.
Okay. Anyone's ever broken into your house before in New Jersey or in Michigan or in Florida or anything like that?
They broke into the house when we lived in Pompton Plains.
Where's that? Is that in New Jersey?
Yeah, that's up in Jersey.
And when you said they broke into, describe that to me. What happened?
It was a bunch of young kids that my brother knew. And he had a dirt bike and everything, so they stole his dirt bike and they stole some other stuff.
Sure. And were you home when that happened?
I believe so.
Due to the nature of the events described here, Susan is highly likely to have developed an intolerance to loud noises, which would explain her outbursts of anger whenever the children approached her home. This could be something related to misophonia, a disorder which is not yet officially recognized but can result in violent and non-violent outbursts due to trauma like the one we see with Susan. We would only find out the extent to which this trauma affected her at a later stage of the investigation. For now, officers are far more interested in the details of the shooting and begin to probe deeper into her story.
And describe to me, AJ, you've only had these arguments with her a few times, but what I'm confused about is that we're talking about her banging on it 3 times, and then there's the pause, and there's everything else you just described to Detective Stitt. And you said that this was the time that she was going to come and kill you. That's confusing to me because it sounds like you guys really didn't have any other times that she was going to come and kill you.
And she was saying she's going to kill me. I mean, she was verbalizing it. She was saying, "I'm going to kill you."
Okay.
That's how. It's not like this is the time she's going to come and kill me. I mean,
so I'm trying to get into your mind, and I'm trying to be brought to that moment to why you believe that. And we were talking. You were in the bathroom, then you were in the kitchen. I mean, I know that she's saying something, and you're inside your house, and she's on the other side of that wall and that door. Were you able to ever see her to see if she had anything in her hands?
There's no peephole or anything.
There's no peephole. Thanks. Okay. Were you able to look through a window or anything to see if she had anything in her hands or anything?
No.
Okay. So you don't know if what's going on, but you can hear her voice.
Yes.
And you said that she's hitting the wall hard enough that, was it the door?
The mirror.
That the mirror is moving?
Yes.
And she's hitting the door?
She's hitting the door.
Okay. There's no peephole or anything like that. You don't know who all's out there, but you can hear her voice?
Yes.
Okay. What made you shoot that spot on the door? It sounds like you had some experience with the gun, so bring me to that moment where what happened?
I grabbed the gun, I was shaking like a leaf, and the more she pounded, the more she screamed. I was like, "Stop, stop, stop, go away, move away." She wouldn't move away. Finally, "I'm going to kill you," and that was the last time, and I just fired the weapon.
Okay. Was there a spot you picked or something like that?
I just kind of, there was the door, I knew she was out the door. Shot.
So since the last time you and I talked, I went in the house. We, did the stuff inside the house as far as photographing, looking at where everything is at related to where the door is. And you said you had shot from the kitchen. So when you come in, it's
kitchen
like a
table.
kitchen table.
The table that's there, the 2 seats with the table.
Okay.
That's where I shot from.
That's where you shot from. Okay. Like right next to it,
Yes.
or like further back?
It was. I remember the table being there.
Okay. How were you holding the gun when you fired it?
Like
With
that.
2 hands?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you were initially in the kitchen when, well, you went to the restroom and then you were in the kitchen looking for your phone while she was pounding on the door. And you say that you believe it was between 2 and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Was that total time from when the first pounding started to the time that you fired the shot, 2 to 5 minutes? Or do you think it was shorter time than that or longer?
To me, it seemed like 2 to 5 minutes.
2 to 5 minutes
More,
total.
Well, by the time I shot the weapon, at least 5 minutes.
Okay.
So-
Did she ever try to open that glass sliding door or open the door handle or anything like that? Or was it just the pounding?
I just remember her pounding and pounding and pounding.
Okay. So you said that you kept the firearm in the trash can in the bedroom, so at some point, did you go?
Yes.
So you thought about it and said, I might need this, or?
Absolutely. I mean, I got terrified. I mean, I was so terrified she was going to come in and kill me.
Okay, so you left the kitchen area?
Yes.
And that's when you went to your bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. Where was the other gun at that time, do you know?
I thought it was right there.
The Ruger?
I thought the Ruger was right there.
I mean, we found, yeah, it was, but you said that you used the 380, right?
Yeah.
When you fired the gun? Okay. Is there any reason why you chose that gun aside the other one? They were both loaded, right?
They were both loaded. I was just the one I picked up.
Okay. Did you handle the other gun at all?
I don't remember. Honest to God, don't remember.
Okay. Because the reason I asked is when we went in there, the 22 was actually on top of the 380. So, I'm just trying to figure out how it is that you went in there, took the 380, fired the 380, went back, and you would have put it back in there, but then the other gun was on top of it. So I'm just trying to figure out if maybe, you're just moving stuff around after things happened or something fell. I'm just trying to understand.
It may have fallen off the bed. I don't know. I just remember looking for my phone, and I just remember I put the gun back in. So, there's all kinds of papers in there, so it could have flip-flopped.
Is that an actual, do you use it for trash, or those important papers that were in there?
Those are papers that I keep.
Okay. All right. So you said it was about let me ask you this, and maybe this can kind of help us get a better time frame. From the time that you called 911, these kids are on my property again, they're yelling, what happened that first 911 call? That time that you hung up with 911, how long before she showed up and she was pounding on the door after you hung up?
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. So about 10 minutes after you disconnected and they said, hey, we have deputies on the way, 10 minutes after that is when she started pounding on your door. Okay. And you say anywhere, you believe from 2 to 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there, and I just want to be clear, 2 to 5 minutes from the first time she pounded to the time where you felt in danger enough to pull the trigger?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many times, I know this is, how many times do you think she was hitting your door during that time frame that you believe is about 2 to 5 minutes?
She just kept pounding it. Just kept pounding it and pounding it.
Just
She was
more
screaming.
than 5, more than 50? Like,
God, it had to be, I don't know, I can't even speculate. I just remember her pounding and pounding and screaming and yelling.
okay. And did you call 911 immediately after?
As soon as I
Fired the
found my
shot?
phone.
Okay. How much time do you think after you fired the shot?
A few seconds.
So within a
Let's say
minute?
within a
And you
minute, yes.
immediately called 911?
Yes.
Did you call anyone else before?
No.
Did you call anyone else after?
No, I don't think so, because you guys were here. I mean, you guys came right away,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
What's with the racial statements that everyone's saying that you made? I mean, have you ever used the N-word and they're using it against you? Have you said it in passing or something?
I have no idea. But it could have been I was speaking Hungarian and instead of English.
So you're native Hungarian? Is there?
My father was Hungarian, my mother was Polish, so we spoke mainly Hungarian in the household.
Okay. And is there, have you ever spoke Hungarian to these kids or anything like that?
Yeah, and they looked at me and they said, stop making up your language.
These are also lies, as neighbors often stated that they overheard Susan yelling slurs at the children, and especially on the night of the incident, she was heard yelling racist remarks.
So we're just trying to figure out where some of these, we heard that you said the F word and the B word. These are what the kids are saying.
I definitely dropped F-bombs.
Okay, and
Definitely.
what are you saying the F word to?
Pick your fucking shit up.
Referring to stuff on the ground or something? And when we say the B word, what are you referring to that? Who are you talking to? What are you saying when you use that language?
B word.
Yeah, which I'm assuming is bitch, but I don't really know.
Okay.
Have you said that word to them?
Remember.
Or is it bastard? Possibly bastard?
I don't know, could have been either word.
Yeah.
Are those words that you've used when you're outside or around the kids or something like that?
I guess if they were really annoying me, I may have let one slip.
Okay.
You know.
And how would they really annoy you? Like just
Screaming. They
Okay.
would scream.
the screaming, and that would maybe let one slip. Okay.
But the girls would do something so stupid. I've never seen anything like this before. They would go face to face with one another and see who could scream louder.
Yeah.
5 feet outside my door. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, why? I want to see who screams louder. I'm like, take it over to your house.
Sure. Okay. So Detective Stith has been talking to you about the timeline, okay? And some of the work we've done. Now, this is a picture that I drew. I am not an artist at all, but when I tell you some of the work we've done, we spoke to all the people over. This is your house, by the way. Okay, this is. We'll put an S for you. We spoke to everybody in these buildings. We spoke to them all in these buildings, and we talked to anybody that had cameras that would see different areas. These cameras, they hear things. We're able to hear audio, we're able to hear things like that. And everyone we interviewed, I pretty much got the same, Detective Stith, I think we all got the same statement from every single person we interviewed. We lined up, well, we didn't line them up. These people were interviewed in different locations. Some of them were interviewed in different buildings, in different places. I interviewed them at different houses, and all these people provided me similar statements, okay? No one that provided these, now these people could hear her talking. Okay, because she was talking loudly. You said that you could hear it through the wall, and I can agree with that. Okay. She made a statement, something to the effect of, why'd you take my kid's iPad? Okay, somebody heard her say that.
I never touched an iPad. I never saw the iPad. I don't know what this iPad is
A
about.
tablet or something like that?
Again, no tablet, no iPad, no electronics at all. It was never there, or at least I never saw it.
Okay.
So I have no idea.
Was she, maybe she's wrong, but was she asking you about a tablet or accusing you of something with a tablet or an iPad? I don't know if it's an iPad or a tablet. She could have?
She could have.
Okay. You seem unsure of some of the stuff she's saying through the door. Did she say, you're not really sure if she said that?
She could have said it during her rants.
Okay. She's saying these things. The thing is everything that we've learned so far, I have not learned of her ever saying to you that she wanted to get into the house. It sounded more like she wanted to talk to you outside of the house.
How do you want to talk to outside the house when you're banging and screaming?
Yeah.
That's not reasonable.
One of the people said that she said, "Come outside."
That's not, I'm sorry. That's not what?
It's not reasonable and prudent. I mean, you just don't, bang and expect someone to come out. Yeah, I think I'll come outside so you can,
Well, I know.
Seriously.
What she's learned, what I'm learning, what these people have said is that she was saying to come outside. She wanted to confront you about something. She wanted you to come outside. Do you remember her making statements and asking you to come out there and talk to her?
I honestly don't recall.
Okay, so you don't remember that, and you seem unsure about some of the statements she made about the tablet. No one that we've interviewed so far has made any statements about her saying that she wanted to kill you.
That's what I heard.
Okay. You said you were so in fear and you're shaking. Is your memory affected regarding this incident in some way?
I just remember being terrified that she was banging and screaming, and I just remember hearing her say, "I'm going to kill you."
This is the exact moment that Susan realizes she's been caught red-handed. There were no threats made, and Ajike was only an angry mother, not a crazed killer. Additionally, the iPad being mentioned here is one of the belongings the children left in the field after they ran off to tell their mother about what happened. Witness statements indicated that Susan picked up the iPad and refused to return it.
Her son, earlier in the night, before I called the police, I don't know how old he is, but he said, "I'm going to make sure you get killed tonight."
Which son? She has two sons.
I know. I don't remember. It was one of her sons, but he was there. He's like, "I'm going to make sure you get killed. I'm going to make sure that you know." And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Has this person ever shown you a weapon or anything like that?
No, but I mean, the little kid said it, and then all of a sudden his mom's coming over and she's banging and screaming. And
now I asked you this earlier. You said you can't see out there, but you've only seen her a few times.
Mm-hmm.
What means does she have to harm you through the wall?
Like I said, she was banging so much, everything was shaking and moving.
Now that house,
Which I couldn't believe because it's a cement block house.
That was my next question. So it's a cement block house, and the door, the deadbolt was activated, right?
The deadbolt was activated, right? And you just didn't have the chain lock?
I was going to say, I remember I didn't have the chain. I'm not quite sure if I had the deadbolt on or not.
Okay. I believe the last time we talked, you said you had the deadbolt, but you didn't want to get back close to the door to do the chain, is from what I recall. And you said you had the extra long deadbolt just installed, recently?
Charles did it.
Okay, Charles.
So that's what the deadbolt's activated, the door's closed, it's a block house. I'm just trying to understand what made you so in fear of this woman if you have these things between you.
When we had spoken previously on the other time when she screamed at me and I finally acquiesced, I said, "Whatever you want, I'm so sorry." She followed me a foot behind me up until I went into the house. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, she gave me the creeps.
What happened during that incident where she followed you? What was the conversation?
She said, "Oh, you called my kids." I'm like, "Okay, whatever. Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize." And I finally said, I'm going to leave this alone. I don't need, to get killed in the street.
Did she tell you if she had recordings of you saying that?
I have no
or like
idea.
one of the kids?
I have no idea.
But you apologized and she continued to follow you anyway?
Yeah, she followed me anyway.
How far did she follow you?
Like right up to where I go in by the wood.
By the fence?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened after that?
She finally just went away.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
That was like a month or two ago.
Okay. And was that an incident dealing with, she had, the dog and the kids were over there?
No.
No, that was something different?
Something different.
Okay. And I think that was, I want to say, was it April? Does that sound right with you had called because, again, the kids were over there, the dog was over there? Does that sound about right? Okay, but that was a different incident than what you're talking about.
Yes.
And where were you at when you had that conversation where she started following you? Where were you?
I was in the street.
Okay. Like by the mailboxes or?
No, I was close to her driveway.
Close to her driveway, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did she make any threats of physical violence to you then?
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember.
Okay.
She was following you and that made you feel creepy, right? Or creeped you out, I think is the word you said?
Yeah.
Okay, but there wasn't any threats of physical violence then. And you said...
But why would you, if the conversation is over, why would you still pursue someone? I mean, to me...
Was she still saying things? Was she still
No,
talking?
she just followed me,
followed
and
you.
I just felt like, at any point in time, she could knock me down and do something, and I was like, oh my God. And I didn't want to tangle with her anymore.
It is clear that whatever Susan says cannot be trusted. But why is she going so far to lie? What is she planning to do by twisting the narrative so heavily? Fortunately, detectives know the answers to this already, and they're about to confront Susan with it.
All right, that's new to me. I mean, it's completely new to me. I don't know where the hell that came from.
So, Susan, I'm looking at this from the outside here, and this really is not adding up to me. You used the word reasonable and prudent earlier. That's an interesting series of words to use. That's like a series of words that we use as law enforcement officers when we try to look at things. And there's a big jump here that you're making logically that I can't seem to make the jump. I'm having a really hard time getting there. You've known this woman for 1.5 to 2 years. Your only communications were 2 to 3 times. The dog's pooping, and then there was another time where you called her, you said, I'm sorry about calling your kids some names, and she followed behind you. You thought that was creepy. She's never threatened you. She's never displayed a firearm towards you. She starts yelling on your patio area, banging hard on your door, which your door is locked, and then you're scared. Now you're saying that you're scared, which, okay, I can get to that. I can get to that point that you're scared. There's someone knocking on your door.
No, it wasn't knocking. It was pounding.
Pounding. There's someone pounding on your door. Right. There's someone pounding on your door. They're pounding on your door, and I can't get to the point where pounding on the door leads to you being hurt or killed. I can't get that.
Because I thought she was going to break the door down. The door, you could see that it was all repaired and re-repaired and all that crap like that. So I never felt that door was secure.
You have an extended deadbolt, and you've never been in any kind of violent situation where someone's kicked in your door or like Kool-Aid Man through your entire wall. There has not been that situation. So I'm trying to do the reasonable and prudent. I'm trying to come into your shoes there, and I'm having a hard jump there because describe to me, AJ, what does she look like?
Tall black woman, heavy set,
Okay. Does she have a very muscular? You've only known her for 1.5 years. You only had so many communications. I mean, is she like a muscular person that's able to, like, I don't know, do extreme feats of strength? Does she weight train in her front yard? Help me understand this.
No, I don't.
That's what I'm trying. I'm having a hard time with this.
He's not being facetious. He's just trying to understand how we got from the point of someone pounding on your door to.
But to get to, she's gonna get through the wall is where I can't get there. I don't understand. What if, and I was thinking about this earlier, what if the police officer had already arrived and she is loud and she's still yelling, and now the officer's standing in front of the door and he does some knocks, but she's still on that darn patio yelling, and you're shooting, you can't see, there's no peephole, there's no window, there's nothing, and then you shoot, and what if the darn officer was on the other side of the door? You see what I mean? And obviously she's still running her mouth, she's still going. But you don't know what's on the other side of that door.
Hopefully he would have introduced himself.
I sure hope so. I mean, and that's what some of the issues are that I can't get there, and I don't understand entirely what was going on in your mind, and I don't see how that is entire. Were you on alcohol or anything like? I gotta ask these questions. Were there anything in your mind that would impair yourself in your judgments?
I took Belbuca earlier in the day.
What is that?
And it was for my back.
Okay, is that a narcotic?
Yes.
I'm not, a muscle relax, I'm guessing here.
No,
I'm
it's a pain reliever.
Okay, it's a pain reliever.
Mhm.
And does that have like something on the bottle that it would?
It's a film.
Okay, does that like don't use motor vehicles or something like that? What does it do to you? How does it make you feel?
It just makes me sleepy.
It's called, what is it called?
Belbuca.
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 Okay.
Does that have to do with your artery issue in your kidney?
No, I had a car wreck. So I had a fusion on my lower back. I'm sorry, fusion in my neck, and then laminectomy in my lower back.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got this knee that goes backwards, so I have some issues.
Okay.
And I have a torn rotator cuff.
Okay. And do you have issues with any kind of previous, from the car accident, I have to ask, a head injury which would impair your memory or affect your memory or anything like that?
I don't remember. I think I hit my head on the steering wheel from the accident.
Okay. Do you suffer time and spatial memory issues where you can't remember certain amounts of time and things like that? And the reason that I asked that is you had indicated that this was somewhere between like 5 to 10 minutes or something. Am I getting that right, Detective Stiff? Okay. From the cameras that we've looked at in the area here, this incident did not last for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, from the people that we spoke to, there's aspects of this that I can agree about. She's talking loud. She's banging on that door. We're going to agree with that. But the actual number of knocks, you did 3 knocks, and then you said there was a pause.
I never said 3.
Well, you said bang, 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 and then she stopped, which I counted 3. Now,
okay.
if there was something different, you can tell me. I was remembering earlier. You said bang, bang, bang. There was 3. Then she stopped, and then she continued to, and then what happened happened. Mm-hmm. Nothing has led me to believe as an investigator that it was like 5 to 10 minutes, okay?
Okay, maybe it just seemed like it was longer.
With this information, a reasonable conclusion can be made. Susan knows about Florida's stand your ground laws, and there would be indications further along in the interrogation that she even researched it prior to the shooting. This would explain why there are so many inconsistencies in her alibi, and why the detective pointed out Susan's use of the words reasonable and prudent. If her entire alibi is taken at face value, then she would most likely get away with the murder. But these detectives have already started dismantling her lies, piece by piece.
Okay.
Probably because, the adrenaline rush and just getting so upset.
Sure. Whenever adrenaline comes in, it can make things seem like they stretch out. From some of the other statements we've got, some of the things that we've learned, it sounds more like there was 3 knocks, and then there was 3 more, and then she was shot. It sounds like this was very quick. It sounds like this was like within a span of less than 20 seconds is what I would say. Is it possible that your time is off on this?
It could be.
Okay.
Because to me it felt like forever.
Okay.
So
if this is like what's being described as a 20-second, this is a brief encounter. It's a brief encounter with loud banging, with loud yelling. The statements that some of the statements that you're saying occurred, like I'm going to kill you and those kind of threats. No one else has heard you. No one else has heard her make those statements.
Okay.
Okay. I'm worried that some of the prior experiences you've had in your life that we've talked about today, they are traumatic experience, sexual violence against you, when you were a kid, all those people coming and trying to get you, that there's something going on in your head. Are you not sure about some of the things we've talked about today? Regarding some of the things you're saying that you heard, is it possible she never threatened you at all?
No, I swear to God, I thought she said, I'm going to kill you. I mean, that's why I just panicked. As soon as those words came out of her mouth, I was like, Jesus Christ, she's going to kill me.
Okay. And how did you imagine yourself being killed? Remembering that there's that block wall, that door, how was she going to be able to do that? What makes you think that she was able to do that?
She was still pounding, but she could have come right through that glass wall. I mean, the glass door.
Well, we talked about pounding on the door. Did she ever pound on the glass wall? Is it a window or wall? Help me.
It's doors. It's sliders.
Glass sliding door.
Yeah.
She pound on that?
She may have. I don't know. Well, I kept thinking that she's going to gain entrance. She's going to kill me.
And that's why I asked you earlier if you recalled if she tried to. Was that door locked? The sliding glass door?
Yes.
Was that safe? Do you have like anything?
I had I think there was a wood piece in there.
The slider?
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't recall if she tried that door?
I just remember lots of pounding.
Lots of pounding.
Just to me it was just an enormous amount of pounding, screaming, yelling, and I felt like she was going to come through that door.
And I think Detective Pender touched on it. Like in your head, what, during the panic, during all these thoughts, what did you feel that was going to happen?
And she's going to come in there and beat the shit out of me until I was dead.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I felt. I mean, I don't understand why she came over my house. If there was all these issues and problems, why didn't she just call somebody? That's, to me, that's what you would do if you're normal. That's a normal thing to do. If something happens to me, I call the police. Like, okay, the kids are being run or she's banging in, But when I couldn't find my phone and everything, I was just like, shit. I honestly felt she was going to kill me.
To put things into perspective, Susan had ended her call reporting the children at 8:59 p.m. The gunshot was heard at 9:01 p.m. This means she is very evidently exaggerating the time frame this occurred in an attempt to incriminate Ajike. Further evidence from the crime scene would also indicate that things occurred far differently than what Susan stated.
I'm having a really hard time making this jump here that this unarmed person on the other side of the wall is somehow gonna get into your house and kill you. I'm just really having a hard time getting there. I've been doing this job as a homicide investigator for several years, and I've seen houses that are made out of like pretty much would be paper mache. Okay, doors that are so thin, like balls of wood you could just push through. And this is a block house with a solid door. I've seen cases before where there is an angry spouse and let me back in the house, you can't throw me out, and they'll kick the wall as hard as they can, and they're not getting in some of these doors open inwards, outwards. I don't know which way your door opens. Which way does it open? It opens outward?
I think it opens out.
Okay. So it
opens inwards.
It opens inwards. Okay. So they work on these doors and they're not even able to make entry, and they just give up. And I'm really having a hard time understanding like how if you could go back in time, would you not do what you did? Would you take it back and I don't know, wait however long it took for the police to get there? I'm trying to understand that. Would you feel like you did something wrong here?
I did what I felt I had to. I honest to God thought she was going to kill me. I mean, that's all I felt. I just felt that terror. I mean, it was sheer terror.
So I went out to the house that morning, when I met you out there, and I tested the door. First of all, I looked at the door. We processed the door just to see what areas might have been touched by AJ. I looked at the door frame where it had been repaired. It looked like there was a type of putty or something used where the wood frame had been separated. I examined the deadbolt lock. The strike plates were in there pretty fastened, pretty securely. The bottom lock, just the doorknob lock. And even with the door closed, I stood on the outside. There were no indentations, no dents in the door anywhere that I could see, and I pounded on the door pretty hard, and that was with the door unlocked completely. There was no lock secured, and that door was very sturdy. I'm not trying to take away the fears of being scared and everything. Because I think that is a legitimate, scary situation to be put in. But to justify to go from being scared to a point where you're taking deadly force on someone who's standing on the other side of the door and you don't even know where you're shooting at, that's a big jump. And I think that's where Detective Pender is.
It could have been one of the kids standing there or something.
But it was her standing there. I mean, I heard her voice.
Sure, but some people don't talk. They're more quiet.
Regardless of that fact, as I was saying, to go from that, and I didn't even have any locks, and I'm pounding on it. And yes, there were our forensic technicians were inside looking, and yes, things were vibrating, but they also stated that the door didn't seem like it was going to move, and it barely budged, even with the door unlocked. So, and that's why it's important for us to go through these things to try to determine. To try to put ourselves in your position, in your mind at that time as much as possible. But to get that, help us try to understand that a little bit more, to get to that point from a fairly secure door. Because like he said, it's true, we've gone to some of these trailers where you could pretty much push the door open and
That's
It's a
not
pretty
your
secure-
house. Your
no.
house is pretty secure. That landlord did a good job, I guess, keeping everything secure. It looked like everything was good.
With this, there is reason for detectives to believe that Susan is the one at fault beyond a shadow of a doubt. What is left is to get either a verbal confession or a contradictory statement from Susan to determine whether this was a premeditated murder that used the Florida Stand Your Ground laws as a cover-up.
Okie dokie.
Were you going to go to the bathroom?
Yes.
All right, so while we were in there going over everything, and my supervisor came in, he's actually kind of been listening in a little, and something that caught my ear, like when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned the words, and I asked you to repeat it because I wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. You had mentioned terminology like reasonable and prudent in reference to how AJ was acting at your door while she was trespassing and everything. Where did that come from, that terminology? Is that
Watching TV.
watching TV? Okay. Like documentary stuff, or like what?
Probably just crime shows and stuff.
Crime shows? Okay. And I have to ask you this, is have you done any research on like the laws as far as like in Florida, as far as self-defense and things like that?
I looked at it today.
You looked at it today?
When I was on Facebook. Just some things that, they had it up on Facebook.
Describe that. What did you, specifically, what you were reading about and learning about?
They said self-defense, and I'm trying to think what the hell else I looked at today. So much crap. Mostly emails. But I just remember saying self-defense, and there was a bunch of lawyers and stuff like that.
So, prior to today, even the last time that you and I spoke on very early Saturday morning, you had used some of that same kind of terminology in describing the situation that occurred at your front door. Prior to today, had you ever done any kind of research like that? And before I ask, let me just say, if we were to look through everything in your phone or your home desktop computer, is there anything kind of research on your internet history that would show that you've done research on like self-defense? Or have you ever heard of the term stand your ground?
Yes.
Have you ever done any kind of research on that?
Yes, when it was mentioned on some guy shot someone at a convenience store, and they said stand your ground now laws.
Was that like a Florida situation? Because
Yes.
I know every state
Yes.
has kind of different laws.
I think it was Florida. I'm hoping it was Florida.
Okay. And when was that?
God, years ago.
It was years ago?
Yeah, that was a years ago thing.
So nothing recent that would be on like your internet browser history?
I just looked it up today.
Right, but I mean other than, basically before this incident occurred at your door, but we're not talking about like a couple years ago. We're talking about within the last few months, would there be, because your internet browser, even if you delete it or you go on private browser, if we take a look at those things, because we did go through your phone, the judge signed an order for us to be able to do that. He agreed that there was reasonable enough evidence to be able to do that. Okay. So if that were the case, if we were just to look through that, would there show anything that you were looking up, stand your ground or self-defense laws in Florida on the internet?
I don't know, I look up tons of stuff.
Is it a possibility that you looked that up?
Could have been, I don't know.
The interrogation we've seen until now has displayed the detectives acting rather friendly to trick Susan into believing they want the best for her. But clearly, Susan is not cracking. This is when the lead detective decides to take a much, much different approach and confront Susan for all her horrible actions.
So, Susan, we've talked enough that I've come to a conclusion here. Are you the Susan that has done research on Stand Your Ground and has planned for this to happen? Was planning for this to happen? There's a spectrum here. Is this the Susan over here, and then there's also could be a Susan over here that was, I have a gun in the house. I'm scared. Someone is knocking on the door. I'd like them to go away. I'm just gonna, I picked up the gun and I accidentally shot the gun. There's a Susan somewhere in the world like that. You've somehow found a spot in the middle where you're trying to explain this, but it doesn't actually make any sense. That within 2 minutes, because we know it's 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes, this person came over and they were able to put down a series of statements, such as, and you said this, that they came right up to and they want to have a discussion with the way that you were treating their kids that day. You said that they were able to make that sentence. I want to talk to you about the kids. I'm banging on the door. I want to talk to you about the kids. They're making statements like that. We've interviewed other people that it was a very brief interaction, and then you shot them. Now, this wasn't a long siege. It wasn't a castle siege. It didn't last for 20, 30 minutes. It was 2 minutes. So you're trying to tell us that a reasonable person would shoot somebody for less than 2 minutes of making statements outside. That doesn't make any sense. So that I have to look on the scale here. Where is Susan? Did she plan this? Is she a cold-blooded killer that plans things? Was this an accident? Or was this something that got out of hand? Is it somewhere in the middle? That makes more sense. Not what Susan's telling me. Is it somewhere in the middle? Because I know that I talked to Detective Stith. We kind of went through your first interview. And in that first interview, you had even said to the kids, you know what, go get your mom.
No, I didn't.
You said something along the lines as when they said, I'm going to go get my mom, you said, go get her.
Go get her. Which is fine. I want to talk to an adult too. I don't want to talk to a kid.
I remember saying that.
So this has happened a few times during our interview also. You have these, I don't remember. There's been a couple times that you don't remember. And these are important things to remember. And you're not able to remember them. I believe that you do remember them, and that worries me. That makes me feel like you're not telling us it because you are that you are Susan, the person that is planning. I'm just trying to figure out who's sitting in front of me here. Is it over here? I've been planning this. I picked up the gun and I was waiting for her to come over because it was very quick. It was 2 minutes. Or it was, I had the gun in my hand and I made a mistake, but now I've dug my heels in and I've made these statements so far to Detective Stith about a mistake I made, and I feel like I can't go back. I don't want to feel like you're at a point that you can't go back. We are all human. And I'm going to tell you this, 99% of the people that sit in front of me in this room, they do not tell me the truth like the entire time. But then we get to a point where I show them that everything they're saying actually doesn't make any sense. And I always tell them, I say, look, we want to go the path of least resistance. We don't want to go down the path of embarrassment or humiliation or I made a mistake. They don't want to do that, but I show them everything. And they say, you know what? And I don't hold it against them. I don't take anything personally. If you had said something before that was not true and you felt like you had to go down that path to protect yourself or whatever it is, but it's not true, this is your opportunity to tell us. And I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to say Susan is a jerk or a liar or anything like that. I'm going to say what Susan's saying now makes a little bit more sense for me and Detective Stith. And this is that opportunity. If something is different than what you originally told us, I might be able to make sense out of it. Because I know your history now. I know that there was things that happened to you when you were in school. I know that you have gone through hard experiences. And maybe that influenced why you said the things you said before. But I can tell you right now, what we've learned, what we've discussed all leading up to this, it doesn't make any sense. So this is your opportunity to actually tell us that something that does make sense. I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to get mad. But whenever AJ was coming over, that evening, what happened? What happened? Bring me to that moment when you had the gun in your hand. What were you thinking?
All I wanted her was to go away. I just, I felt she was going to come through that door and kill me. I'm sorry, that's what I felt. I just felt she was going to come through the door and kill me.
Okay.
It was a tremendous fear.
Did you feel bad for what happened?
Oh, Christ, yes.
Do you? Because the first time that we talked, there was a point where I informed you that AJ had passed away. And I wasn't sure if you'd been aware of that or not. I know they transported her in an ambulance from there.
No, I saw them doing CPR.
Yeah. So when I informed you of that, you showed emotion. You showed what appeared to me to be at least somewhat of a remorse for what had happened. So do you feel bad for what had happened?
Absolutely.
Do you feel bad for the children?
Christ, yes.
So, and I think, Detective Pender we're trying to give you the opportunity to try to explain some of these discrepancies in the story, the things that don't really add up or make sense. And you maintaining that you were in fear for your life.
Yes.
It just doesn't make sense. And I feel like at this point, today you really haven't, and I'm not judging you, you know, everybody processes things differently, so I understand that. But you haven't really seemed remorseful for today, at least, for what had happened.
Oh, God. It just makes me sick. I don't know I can't take it back. It's transpired, it's in the past, I don't know what the hell to do. You know, it's just probably me shutting down again.
Okay. Do you think that's a trauma response or something? I know you said you had gone through a lot of
Probably
flat
because
affect and things like that in the past.
I mean, it's a horrible situation. And inner conflict is horrible because, you know, it goes against my faith. I broke a commandment. I feel horrible for what I did.
From this point onwards, Susan cannot run from the consequences of her actions. She has been caught, and officers are about to make it very clear the kind of situation she is in.
Okay. So, looking back on it now, and do you think that she was actually going to get through that door? I mean, be honest with us, because
I thought she was coming through the door. And as God is my witness, I thought she was going to come through that door. I'm sorry, it's just what I felt.
So, I mean, at this point, like, we've talked to you, we've talked to a lot of people and gone through the evidence. We've discussed all of this with the state attorney's office as well. You know, after talking to you for several hours on Saturday morning and then today, I feel that there was a level of fear, but from everything I've seen, it doesn't rise to the level for you to justify shooting through a closed door and with a firearm. Okay, and I think you know that wasn't reasonable what you did.
I felt so terrified. I just felt so terrified. You know, here she comes again. You know, again she's screaming, she's yelling, she's acting unreasonable. And
let me ask you this. You said that you went on Facebook today. I can only imagine that at some point you may have seen some of the news dealing with this case and this story.
Yes.
Okay. What kind of stuff did you see?
I threw a tablet at the child. I said all kinds of things that I never said.
You know what I saw? I saw 4 kids that no longer have a mother. And I'm not taking away how you were treated, but those are children nonetheless, right? And I think you know what you did was wrong. I think you know that there were already deputies on the way.
But there was times I called and the deputies never showed up.
I understand. It's been 2 minutes. So you.
To me, it wasn't 2 minutes. To me, it was much longer. In my mind, it felt like.
But there's only one reality where time exists, and I understand perception of time can be different for different people. But in the reality of things, you had just disconnected. Within 2 minutes, a shot was fired through that door. There was that much that transpired within that 2 minutes where statements were made. I want to know why you're throwing stuff at my kids, or whatever it was she was saying, and then shot fired, and she's down, and then another 911 call comes in. There's no way to justify that in my mind. I don't think in Detective Pender's mind, and clearly in other people's minds that we've discussed this case with the state attorney, our legal counsel, and things like that. So, I mean, at this point, we've discussed it with the state, and they are on the same terms as far as charging you with manslaughter. Okay.
Okay. I don't know what to say. I was in fear for my life. I mean, honest to God, I just feared that she was going to come through that door. I'm sorry, that's how I felt. I can't change the way I felt. I mean, it was sheer terror on my part. I mean, honest to God, I was shaking.
So, one of the things I want to ask, because at the point where I did let you know and I informed you, you know, what had ultimately happened to AJ after that shooting, you know, that she had passed away, and obviously she has 4 kids, and you know, I was observing the interviews that were conducted with them and the emotions that they were going through, And you shared some of those same emotions at points through the conversations that we had. And I just want to, like, obviously I can't let you talk to them or give a message to them and like face to face. But I would like, it's up to you, if you would like to write them a letter or something to kind of, you know, whatever's on your mind or in your heart.
You don't have to. We're just going to leave a notepad and a pen in the room. Obviously, we have some paperwork to do, so we're going to have to step out to do that, and obviously talk to our boss. We'll just I offer it to everybody that we can't let them talk to. So it's just something we do.
Understood.
So if you'd like to do that.
We're going to get that paperwork going, like you said.
But that's where the state's at right now, that's where we're at, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in just a minute, okay? But if you'd like to write them something, that's right there, okay? All right, Susan? All right, we're gonna have you go with this deputy here.
No,
I'm sorry?
no,
No what?
I can't.
What's wrong? What's going
I
on?
just can't. I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, we're to that point where that's what's gonna happen. Obviously, this isn't a conviction. This is you being charged, and then you're gonna have your day in court to present your side of the story. Okay, so you're gonna go with this deputy.
No, I'm not.
You're gonna be booked in
No, I'm not.
and fingerprinted.
No.
They're gonna take your pictures, and then you will have an arraignment in the morning.
I'm not going, sorry.
There's a phone down there. You'll be able to call whoever you need to call, right there in booking.
I'm not going.
But Susan, we are going. There's no change in that now. You're under arrest. In fact, we can probably go ahead and put handcuffs on her. Let's get
Come on,
her.
Susan,
Let's get you
stand up.
handcuffed.
No,
Stand up.
no, don't touch me.
Susan,
Stand up, Susan.
don't,
No,
Listen,
sorry, I can't
It can
do
go
this.
one
I
of two
can't
ways.
do
It can
this.
go an easy way or it can go a really hard way.
I'm sorry.
We don't want it to go the hard way.
I'm so sorry. I
Susan,
can't
put
do
yourself in our position. There's no choice in this. You're going over there.
this. I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Susan, you understand that from the point of the story that you've given us, that by refusing and resisting, that it's making you look bad, okay?
I'm
And
sorry,
I understand
just
your
can't.
reluctance to want to
I don't
go.
feel good. I just can't do
Okay,
this.
well, they have medical staff over there
As soon
that
as
can
you get over
assist
there, there's a
you.
nurse right in the front.
They can,
No.
you give them the
can't
prescription
do this.
medications that you're taking, all of that. They will assist you in making sure that you get the care you need.
No, I
But
can't
we're
do
going
this.
over there, okay? You're
I
gonna go
can't.
over there and,
I just can't do this.
okay, well,
Come on, Susan, stand up.
if
We
we
don't have
have,
time to
Seriously,
debate.
I can't do this.
okay, but do you understand that you're under arrest and you're
I
gonna be
understand
taken to
I'm
the
under
jail
arrest
one
now.
way or another, okay?
I don't care.
Susan,
I just can't do this. I'm sorry.
I don't. What you're saying and doing right now is not reasonable.
I know it's not
There's been
reasonable, but I
people-
just can't do this.
So when you
So-
say it's not reasonable, that doesn't make sense to me.
I understand. I just can't do this. I'm sorry.
And this is why we're in this position here, Susan, is because the decisions you make are not reasonable. You make, just like what
I'm
we're
sorry.
experiencing right now.
I'm sorry. I just can't do this. I can't do this.
I've had people sit in this chair that have done things and they get up, they walk out on their own accord. They've done some really bad things. Okay, you're not the only person, but I need you
I
to.
just feel horrible. I can't do this.
Okay, well, we're going to go to the jail. There's no changing this. There's no stopping it.
I don't care. Kill me.
We're not going to kill anybody. We're going to take you to the jail. We'd rather you walk on your own. We'd rather you just walk down there. It'd be so much better for everybody if we could just walk down
Can
there.
you just stand up for me?
No.
So what do you plan on sitting here the rest of the night?
I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to die of a heart attack.
Well, like I said, they have medical staff over there. We want to be able to get you over
The
there.
quicker we get you over there, the quicker someone over there that's in medical can see you.
No, I just can't do
Susan,
this.
this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna put you in handcuffs, and if we have to forcefully bring you out there, that's what we
We're
have to
gonna
do,
do
because
that.
we're
I
obligated
really don't want
to
to.
take you to the jail now, okay?
Thank you for standing up.
Sorry. I just.
I understand that.
So, put your hands behind your back for me.
I mean, I
Thank you,
did-
Susan.
I didn't do this on purpose. This wasn't a purposeful act. I did not premeditate it. I didn't do anything like that. This is ridiculous.
We're We're gonna go out this way.
As of June 2024, Susan Lawrence's trial is ongoing as she is facing a manslaughter charge and could face up to 30 years in prison. However, Black communities and Ejike's family have been demanding that this be upgraded to a murder charge, as according to them, this was premeditated.
Certainly the family would have wanted something a little more harsh in the form of a murder 2 charge. We are disappointed by this decision. All the evidence pointed to a murder 2.
Unfortunately, state attorneys claim that there was insufficient evidence for this to be possible. Susan, on the other hand, wants this trial to be over, so she continues to urgently request a speedy trial from Circuit Judge Robert Hodges.
The reason why I was asking for a speedy trial is I'm not getting care in jail. I'm running blood pressures of 200 over 100, and I'm just afraid I'm going to die because they're not caring for me at all.
The audacity of her to say that she doesn't want to die in jail if her heart continues to beat. My daughter, Ajika Owens' heart will never beat. Her 4 precious babies' hearts will never beat the same. The mitigated gall, the selfish, is deplorable.
Ejike's family has been unable to overcome her death even a year later because she was the focal point of dozens of individuals in her life. Even her Facebook comments would show nothing but support, love, and trust from the ones who knew her. But the ones who are affected the most are the children of the Owens family. After her death, Ejike's mother, Pamela Diaz, took the 4 children aged between 4 and 12 under her care. Pamela continues to mourn, but refuses to let her daughter's death go in vain and wishes for a better future for the Black community.
How do you do it? It is simply by the grace of God. You see me in front of the cameras, but I'm simply just a voice for my daughter and my 4 grandchildren. But what you don't know is when the cameras are gone, and I'm all alone in the still of the night, and I lay in my bed praying, asking God to nurture, to help me nurture my 4 grandchildren's spiritual souls. My deepest and greatest fear is that they'll lose their faith and trust in God that their mother so instilled in their hearts.
Pamela is not alone in her sentiments either. The entire Ocala community has been committed to commemorating Ejike and, most importantly, demanding for changes in stand your ground laws. Attorneys in this case would call the law archaic and call for its eradication. However, speculation still remains about whether or not Susan had used this legal loophole to murder an innocent woman. But considering her history of lies regarding her racist remarks, harassment towards others, and her having absolutely no remorse about her actions, it is highly likely that this is the case. However, there has been no verbal confession from Susan herself as she continues to plead not guilty. Do you think that Susan intentionally planned this murder after she had researched this law? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. My goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of July. Your help would be appreciated.